Welcome back, y'all, today for day 7 of 12. The glasses are on today. We're going to be switching back to Anthony doing, yesterday we went over a bunch of stuff, the prequel, and today he's going to be doing the sequel. So, we went through information yesterday, and today he's connecting right now.
What's up? What's up? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Oh, wait, I just realized I don't have my earphones on. Give me a second.
Yep, I was wondering why you were so quiet.
Day by day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. Okay. Yesterday, tipping over on screen while sitting, and today it's only the earphones. Good stuff. How you doing today?
I'm doing really good. I actually want to share something interesting. So at the beginning of the day, I got this little free pad of paper from somebody. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to keep it in my back pocket. That way, if I ever get an idea, a trigger, anything, I have a pen in my pocket, I can write it down. So I was going to the bathroom before work in the morning, and I was just like, kind of doodling. As you guys can see, there's like a little weird, oops, I flipped that over, little doodle. And after that, I was like, how do I want my day to go is the question that popped in my mind. So I'm like, I'm going to write it out. So I wrote, today flew by. And I wrote it in the tense of it already happened. So that way I'd prime my body. So that's how the emotion I would feel throughout the day. And I wrote, it was fun and easy. And what do you know? Today flew by. It was fun and easy. Not only did it fly by, I was able to get home, eat. I got to talk to my girlfriend, video chat, which I haven't been able to do for the past couple days because of timing and everything. And then I still had an hour to go work on this baby right here. So I finally attached this, I bent this new ring. And the last piece needed for the outside is to convert this into one of these guys.
Cool.
So yeah, my day is going really smooth, awesome sailing, because through this whole process, you start really realizing you're the author. So you're like, okay, let me write out the script of what I want the day to go like. And so it was a micro win. It's very small. It might not seem insignificant, but it's very significant for me personally because it's built up my confidence. Ooh, excuse me.
Nice.
And not just my confidence, my belief in self. Knowing like, ooh, I'm authoring what I'm doing. So I'm excited to do this video and walk you through the process. And
the
yeah.
introduction process.
So let's start with the intro then.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. So my name is Anthony Desetnikov, and I like to call myself a student of life. So to summarize what a student of life is, it's somebody who is constantly looking for patterns, lessons, and things that they can take in from any experience, no matter how mundane it can be, washing dishes, working, jogging, walking, you name it. You're looking for the lesson. You're looking for the sublime, the truth, or you could say the hidden golden nugget, as some like to call it. So that's who I am in the overarching big picture. For work, I work for this wonderful company called Bella Home Builders. We build custom homes in Saratoga, New York. So I had an awesome day today, and yeah, that's who I am.
And I'm Alexey Ketko. I created the clarifiers. I, as well, am a student of life. I take it to I love helping students understand processes better. Wherever I was, I always found myself that niche in the company or business I was working in to helping people understand easier, be it business, but now it's all about helping people understand the process of achievement, of success, of achieving what they want. And yeah, that's what I love to do, and that's what I do. That's what I do.
What's up?
Pretty much, yeah. That's what I'm all about. And that's what the clarifiers, and to get right into it, clarifiers is all about helping people learn what does progress actually look like. Some call it the success or achievement. I'll call it progress in life. There's a lot of little moving parts, and that's what the clarifier does. The clarifiers is all about is breaking down that process into doable parts. Okay, it's like, here's what you do today, here's what you do tomorrow. That's the gist of what the clarifiers is, and learning how to pass that knowledge on. Helping you learn, and then you
I can
learn
help
to pass
you
it on.
visualize, I can help the audience visualize exactly what you just described the clarifier does.
Go
Imagine
for it.
this is your brain right here. You got all these intricate wires, connection points, patterns, blah, 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 blah. It's pretty complicated unless you know the processes and systems of what it's built upon, how it breaks down. So we're basically breaking down the framework of our minds to be able to, create the lives that we want.
Yeah, well said, well done. Good image. That being said, let's jump right into it. The
Alrighty,
prequel to the intro.
since I'm going to be guiding this video, I'm going to switch to my forward facing, and I got a nice little setup right here. I don't have a tripod. I just want to show you the audience of what I have. It's a piece of notebook with some weight hung over my table, and it works. So there we go. All right, so what we're going to do is explain the thing that we talked about yesterday, which is what we are going to call it is the boom, or as I like to call it, the boom moment. So what is a boom moment? So you're going through your day, you're having an experience, and
Hey,
all of
Tony,
us
before you go further, is there any way you can flip where that is to the bottom left corner? I know you're going to have to be in an awkward position writing.
kind
That
of
would
like that.
either that or you flip the page itself. It's right if it's a little crooked, but yeah, you'll have to fold the paper into that little space. Move it a little to the right. Yep, yep,
Like that.
yes.
Better? Okay, sweet.
Perfecto.
So we have what you call a boom moment. So what is a boom moment? A boom moment, to give you the description of it, is you had just like a thought run through your mind, thought or feeling that basically takes over the ship, takes over what's happening. You were in a good mood, whatever was happening, but this thought or feeling triggers it, and that's why we call it the boom moment. Thought or feeling that takes over the ship. And I like to say takes over the ship because it's very easy to understand. It's like, pirates hijacking a ship for their goods. It's like, I didn't ask for it, but it's here, and now I have to deal with it. So this boom moment seems overwhelming, but let's break it down. So the first part of the boom moment, we'll call it point A. What that is what we call the last domino. Now, you guys can all visualize what a domino is, and for any of you that may be watching that have never seen a domino, dominoes is a tile game where these, little tiles, I'll draw one after I write this out in a second, and people have stacked them up into cool patterns and chains, and when you tip one domino, it begins a chain reaction that continues on. So the last domino, and dominoes are rectangular little pieces. They usually have a line dividing it in half, and then they have some kind of dots to represent a number. So I'll just do two little dots right there. So the last domino is actually what that boom, that thought or feeling, that trigger that initiates is. There was a chain of events that had led up to this last domino basically slapping you in the face. Now there's an interesting thing called the domino doubling effect. So domino doubling effect. Now, why am I bringing this up? So this will give you an idea of how something very small and insignificant compounded over a period of time can result in this really big boom feeling that feels like, do or die. Sometimes when we have triggers come up that are really intense, even like, an anxiety attack in the middle of nowhere, you have no reason to be. You might be like in a park or something. So this will kind of give you an idea of where it can actually come from. So the domino doubling effect is basically a domino can knock over, a 1-inch domino can knock over a 2-inch domino. So 1-inch domino can knock over a 2-inch domino, which can then knock over a 4-inch domino, and then an 8-inch domino. And as you see, this pattern keeps going on and on and on. So this this effect, why it's useful to understand the concept of it, is you might have a simple 1-inch, one small thought, one small feeling that happens, but that one small thought or feeling sets off a chain reaction that eventually results in a boom feeling that completely takes over the ship. Now, to be clear, a boom moment is a type of experience where you literally feel like you're losing control. Like, you're feeling something that you do not want to feel. You might not know how you got there. It's just like, it's very chaotic and confusing. So going back to the domino doubling effect, we've covered that. So you've had this experience, this thought or feeling. What do you do? So we move to B. And B is we want to recognize it for what it truly is. I want to recognize it for what it truly is, which is a program running in your brain. And if we were to summarize the program running in your brain to something that we can reference to later, it's a line of code. So when we use the term, that's what it is. Line of code. Now the line of code is that program running through your head. What that program running through your head is what you're trying to recognize. That last domino that hit you, that boom feeling, is nothing but a line of code that is stored in your subconscious mind. So we then move on to point C. Now that we've recognized that, okay, there's a line of code running, so whenever we're in a situation, let me move the paper over so you can see a little bit again. Is that good? There we go.
Yep.
So you're in a situation and, say, like for me, this couple days ago, I had this experience at work where I just had this feeling of like, I do not want to do this. I want to curl up in bed and sleep. I was feeling a little under the weather that day. But so that feeling, that boom moment hits you, you're overwhelmed. But in that moment, I realized, okay, there's no reason I should be. I slept, I have eaten, I've gotten everything that I needed. I'm not that sick. I'm just feeling slightly body aches, whatever. So you begin this process. So you want to recognize it for what it is, and then you got to start building an image. So the mind needs an image. Otherwise, it's just chaos. So when you have this boom moment, think about all those feelings and thoughts and stuff going through your house, through your mind. It's so chaotic. Everything is shifting. You don't feel safe or grounded or anything like that. Your mind is completely, I guess you could say, unhinged in a way. So in order to calm the mind, you need an image. An image brings light to the mind. So it needs an image. Now, point D, which this flows into, is you have to draw the image of the mind. Now, there's a wonderful Dr. Thurman, 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 Fleet, Fleet. I don't have the quote on hand. Do you have it, Alexey? Could you read it out loud?
Yes. Mind is an activity, not a thing. No one has ever seen the mind. However, we must have an image, or there is no order in the mind, he said. I will create an image and eliminate the confusion.
Yes, so based off of that quote is where we're getting this information where it's like you have this boo moment, there's all this chaos. You don't have you can't pinpoint it. So what you're trying to do now is you're trying to create an image, and so how we're going to draw the mind is you're going to draw a circle, and then you're going to divide that circle in half horizontally, just like that. Now, the top half over here is going to represent the conscious mind. Conscious mind. While the bottom here represents our subconscious mind. Now, for those of you who are like, okay, what's the subconscious mind, conscious mind? Basically, you can just say the subconscious mind is responsible for your five senses of, hearing, sight, smell, touch, things of that sort, thoughts.
What part of your brain is that?
That's the conscious mind.
Okay.
So it's like the tactical information and feedback coming in. It's very limited in its bandwidth, you could say. But the subconscious mind is your habits. Okay, one second. So we could write it out. It's the habits we run on. It's the automatic functions. And what I mean by automatic functions is you don't have to tell or think to yourself, I need to breathe. You don't have to tell yourself to walk when you're walking or when you're running or when you're doing an activity. Those are programmed in your subconscious mind. You just do them naturally. It's a natural habit, but we'll call it automatic functions. Those are operating in the subconscious mind. And then these boom moments that we're talking about also are stored in the subconscious mind. There are different triggers and emotions. Triggers, emotions, and I'll put another category of boom moments so we can reference to it. So that's the subconscious mind. So we'll go a little bit deeper into the conscious mind. I'll draw it out here. So we're going to draw a little arrow going out, drop down over here. And now we're going to draw another circle, just like before. Just kind of running out of ink there. There we go. You're going to divide that circle horizontally in half again, like we did. I'm not going to write it up. The top represents the conscious mind, and the bottom represents the subconscious. So our conscious mind, as I was mentioning earlier, is responsible for the input from our ears. From after our ears, it gets from our eyes, our nose, mouth, and then further down we get to our hands, which is touch. So that's the conscious mind. It's processing that all information. Now, we're gonna in an average day, your mind. Now, this number was generated by somebody. I don't know exactly the study, but we'll just go with it. 70,000 thoughts run through your mind each and every day. So, those thoughts are running through your mind as your body is taking in all this conscious mind sensory from your ears, eyes, nose, mouth, and touch. Mm-hmm. So, out of those 70,000 thoughts per day that you are having, only 5% of those thoughts are original thoughts.
Okay.
While 95% are old thoughts that run from the subconscious mind. So, as we know, the boom moment can be triggered by a thought or a feeling. So, to give you a context, a feeling, say you're out and about somewhere and something generates a certain feeling that triggers a certain, gives you an anxiety attack. or it, gives you a trigger to some PTSD, some noise or sound. But a thought can also be a trigger. Oh, I'm not good at this, or this happened, or whatever that thought is for you. And when you start to realize that 70,000 thoughts run through your head on average per day, 5% of them are original, the ones that you use your conscious mind for, and 95% of them are the ones that are just there, the programs that you have, which is where those boom moments, why they're cyclical, they repeat. So this, then we can draw an arrow going right back all the way up, and I'll move the paper so you can see, to the boom moment. Those 95% of old thoughts are responsible for the boom moment. So the question becomes, it's like, well, how do you change it? So, let's go. We're going to grab our new piece of paper, so we'll put this one aside. I'm going to flip the paper like this so it's a little bit easier. Can you see?
Yep, perfecto. Perfecto.
Alrighty. So I'm going to draw out a diagram. Again, it's a circle with a line dividing it horizontally in half, and then we're going to give it a spinal column, neck, whatever you want to call it, and a body, a really long neck, and I'll give it some arms and legs. So this represents you in a really, simplistic form. This down here is your body and feelings. So we know that the top is the conscious mind and the bottom is the subconscious from the previous diagrams that we used. So all those programs, those lines of code, those 95% of those automatic thoughts reside in here, programs. So how do we change them? Because mind you, our body and our brain, it loves consistency of feeling. So these old programs, at some point, we adopted them because they were conducive to our survival. So some of those things were necessary at the time that we did them, but now, even though we're still doing them because they're just running in the background of our subconscious mind, but they're not conducive to our well-being anymore or to what we're trying to create in our life. So you don't look at it as, oh, I'm a bad person, I'm just terrible, and you start telling yourself, no, it's just you had programs in the past and you were not taught how to reprogram. So the question then becomes, how do you change it? So 1 second, let me look at my notes over here. Change. How? Because you can't just go in and try to change all 95% of your thoughts and everything off the bat. It's way too big of a task, and it's simply impossible. So typically how most people try
dangerous.
Yeah, it's actually quite dangerous. So too much change too fast creates shock. So again, we'll draw the circle with the horizontal line. Most people, when they try to change, they go about it trying to use desire. They have a desire to, say, get fit. They want to go to the gym, they want to lose weight. Now, desire is fueled, you can see everything, right? Yeah, there we go.
Yep.
Desire is fueled by willpower.
Yeah.
Now, what's the deal with willpower? For many scientific studies and research, there's a bunch of cool books about it. I would definitely highly suggest reading. But it's a limited resource. And by limited resource, what I mean is you wake up with a full, tank all the way up here in the morning, and at night, by the amount of decisions you make throughout the day, slowly depletes your tank. So you have to understand that you have your normal life and you have all these decisions you're making. So to give you an idea of how simple a decision, if you spend time picking out your clothing in the morning, what you want to make, that's depleting your willpower. If you don't have a system to how you store your food and stuff, and spending time in the morning constantly looking for stuff, you're using willpower. So willpower is a limited resource. So what ends up happening is you have this desire to change, so you start using willpower, you go to the gym, you start doing it, but then what happens when you run out of willpower, which you will run out. When you run out of willpower. And I'll just abbreviate it as WP from now on. There we go. When you run out of willpower, the automatic thing that the brain will do is to run the old programs. You could replace programs with habits or whatever you want to call it. You know, if some people want to look at it that way. But basically, as soon as you run out of willpower, which means you've got no more juice, your brain has to kick into its subconscious programming and run the old programs because that's how our brain and body is designed to function. So, like, how do I change? Well, this whole process that we're going to be showcasing is like this. So we're going to draw an arrow out from the subconscious mind. The goal is you got to catch each line of code, and I'll put in parentheses boom moment so it's easy to reference, boom moment, line of code to take apart the dominoes. Now you're like, why? What do you mean by take apart the dominoes? So going back to the thing we wrote out with the doubling domino effect, something somewhere started a long way back, initially got triggered, and it comes into this big boom moment. So when you catch yourself in that boom moment, you're at the last domino in the chain of reaction. So your goal then is to sit down with a pen and paper. If you're too emotional and you can't deal with it right away, go for a walk, clear your mind if it's something like that. But if you have the opportunity, pen and paper, and you're trying to go back by each domino, by taking it apart and saying, okay, I have this feeling, all right, what happened? What was I thinking? What was running through my mind? And then once you figure out what initially triggered, you then work one domino back and one domino back. And the the beauty of this is when you begin to work back each of the dominoes, you get far enough back until you finally reach to the core line of code in the subconscious mind. And once you find that line of code, you can be the developer that you are, the author of your life, and you can, or in this case with a piece of paper, you write over the code that you want for the life that you want. Because it's not that program was bad. It was useful at a certain period of time, but as we know, apps and programs update all the time. This stuff's got to get, we got to keep moving. We got to keep fixing stuff. So we weren't taught how to do this, and it's a lot harder to reprogram the mind than it is to, say, reprogram a computer in many cases. Probably in some cases it's the opposite, because I'm not a programmer, so I wouldn't know. But anyways, you have to work back from when the moments happen, because you can't sit down and try like, okay, what are all my triggers? Oh, I don't know. There's tons of them. They all have different levels of intensity. So the act of catching it, that's the goal there. Catching it. Now, why do you want to catch it? Because all of this can be brought back to the most simple concept, which is the core of what this whole thing is about, is where am I at? So where am I? When you have a boom moment from over here, that boom moment, now you know where I am. As soon as you know where I am, and you start working through the dominoes, and you go through this process, what ends up happening is you know where I want to go. So this right here brings it to its most essential core. You have to know where you are in order to get to. You need a point A to get to a point B. Because a lot of people say, "Oh, I want to be a businessman. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to do this." But it's like, okay, but where are you? And then they can't answer that question. And I know I found that for myself a lot. So what I realized, it's actually way simpler than that. If all you have to do in order to become the best version of whoever it is you want to be is you need to start catching your boo moments, your subconscious programming that is running your life. I have a, this is my first notes that I took over, but it's like, what are those 95% of thoughts running through your mind each day? You have to address that stuff if you want to create anything new, because willpower is a depletable resource. You can't rely on it. And if we know we can't rely on it, and we know we're never going to have enough because life always will throw curveballs at us, and even if we set up the most perfect routine and everything, there will still be times when we run out of willpower. The only way to go about it is to reprogram. And reprogramming takes effort and time, but it is so worth it, because as soon as you have that boom moment, which like I had 2 days ago at work, where like, as I'll categorize the feeling, I don't want to do this, I know where I am. As soon as I knew where I was later that evening when we walked through the process, I know where I want to go. And I realized, let me try to see if I can pull up the paper. I have it right here. When I was going through that whole process, it was a pointless feeling waking up resulted into rushing to work quickly when things finally did get going, then feeling to slight anxiety because of the unknown of what I was doing at work, which resulted in the feeling of, I don't want to do this. So the I don't want to do this feeling, I now have clarity on that because I knew where I was. And then as we continued going through and through, I realized in the past, I had had Lyme and mono around the ages of 12, all within like a year. It was a really rough year for me and my immune system and body. And one of the side effects of mono and Lyme is extreme fatigue. Like you literally just feel like you can't do anything and you just want to curl up in bed, and like the phrase is you want to die. I would say that a lot around that age. And what I realized is when I had that I don't want to do this feeling at work 2 days ago, in my head, the mental image that was running through my head was from the past when I had Lyme and mono. So what was happening was at work now, 2 days ago, I was nowhere near the state and condition I was when I had the Lyme and mono experience. But because it was a subconscious program running, and I had that I don't want to do this trigger, I then connected it with that image, and then all of a sudden the intensity of like how everything felt, like I literally felt as if it was happening back then. But because I caught that boom moment, I knew where I was, I wrote it out, and I got to the bottom of it, it's like, oh, now I know where I want to go. When I have that feeling of, oh, I don't want to do this again in the future, I'm going to be aware of the fact that I should not link it to the mental image of when things were really bad, when I actually had Lyme and mono, which normally I would do that as my default programming. So that's the beauty of this process, and that's how it really works at its core, is in any instance, when you want to go from point A to point B, you got to know where point A is, and this process helps you figure out point A, and then gives you the tools necessary to get to point B. So, does that make sense?
Yes. And you know what's interesting that just came to my mind?
All right, I'm going to put the camera and swap around.
This is like jumping to part 2 of the two-phase actual application process.
Mm-hmm.
But that was great. I came out with a few awesome things that I'm gonna add the way you explained it. I liked it. Specifically, what was it that oh, when you brought up at what point? Hold on a second. Let me see. It was a pretty good one. I think I really wanted to share this one. Where was it? Let me see. I knew word. Ah, yeah. How you brought up where the boom moment, the triggers, the emotions, where they lie in. How I like at the moment you brought it in, uh, which was different than when I did, and I like how you explained it, the way you explained it at through the process itself, where it
Nice.
popped up in the process. So that was nice. I really liked that.
Yeah, because
Um,
when you were explaining over the time, like my brain made that connection automatically because that's what I'm good
mhm.
at. My brain's always looking for patterns. So that's why through the explaining process, I did a lot of reiteration and like reconnected stuff back because I realized other people might not have the same ability as me to be able to just instantly see it off the first bat. So the going back and forth, that was basically what my mind's been doing when I was looking at this process. So I just basically verbalized it out.
Yeah. So that was nice. I really liked
Sweet.
that. And now that portion of today is done, and I wanted to bring up something interesting. More, this is more of just like conversational now. I
Okay.
wanted to bring up for thoughts. Uh, so in the big picture of this journey, this process of catching your current programming code and changing it, you know how in the end the goal is for you to realize that you are the author of the experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you were sharing, and it's interesting that this boom moment for you a couple days ago was, I don't want to deal with this. And then when we went through that process, you realized that it really triggers the trigger started with, or it all began during your Lyme and mono days when you always felt like, oh, I don't want to deal with this. I just want to lay down and curl up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now my thought, the question is, what was it? So don't answer this, but this is like the line of my thought. Like yesterday, say this week, you had this feeling of, I just don't want to deal with this anymore. I want to roll up, and then you find out that the real cause where it started is Lyme and mono days, because that was your repeating thought process, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then today and a couple days ago, that was the residual. That was the residue of that.
Ooh, to clarify, basically the Lyme mono thing in our lives, we will have experiences that are very traumatic, and specifically when we're young, they're traumatic for our brain and to process because they shatter our fundamental view of reality, which is why that program is still running years later.
And
So,
so to take that, it's Lyme and mono. When you go before that, it's interesting if you really take the fact that you author everything in your life. Lyme and mono, what was the experience happening? What was it trying to help you achieve? So,
I actually I know what it is that you talk about it because I've been thinking about it over the years. I'm like, why the hell did I get Lyme? Then I got mono. I mean, I was pretty healthy in most of my younger years up until about probably like 11 to 12, 13 years. And then I just, actually, no, it was, yeah, sixth grade. I missed like 3 months of school because I had stomach issues and stuff. Doctors could never figure
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
out. So it was just like one of those kind of years. But all of these different sicknesses, they completely shattered my complete view of the world. Because it's like, you grow up in a Christian home, say, where God's supposed to take care of you and like prayer can heal and blah blah blah, and it's like, and then months go by, a year or two, or you have countless people praying for you, daily, that you get better, or the doctors figure out this is, and nothing ever gets it better. So there was like things like that were happening through my mind, on top of the fact of like when you're feeling deathly sick, you really start viewing life completely different. Normal things that used to bring you pleasure no longer satisfy in your I was basically contemplating life at 11, 12 years old, which is, it's kind of hard to do because you don't have much context or information yet. Because I mean, I did read a lot as a kid, but wasn't exposed to certain things that, yeah, but that's irrelevant.
And so the question is, before you even got it, because if you're thinking that getting Lyme and mono was a result of you constantly thinking about wanting something, and so life gave it to you through this experience, trying to give you what you actually wanted. So A, you had thoughts. B, you got Lyme and mono. What was the thing you were always thinking about that you would have wanted prior to that? That life had
To
to
be
give you
honest,
mono and
I just
Lyme.
had this kind of aha realization. At the core, what it feels like it really was my first trigger was I wanted to truly express myself. So what I realized that means is I was constantly denying my reality, the way I saw the way I saw things to fit in. So I probably a lot of times felt almost invisible. Like people saw me, but they didn't really see me. So, but
Seen
when
but not heard.
yeah, but when you get sick, people really start seeing you. Like they give you their full 100% attention and their all. And I think as a kid, I was starved for that. So my body literally just kept getting me stupidly sick, um, which resulted in then me getting that attention that I so deeply craved. Because usually when you're sick, people aren't pushing stuff on you, they're just taking you as you are,
Yeah.
which was the best I could get at the time in that moment of my life, now that I look back.
Just as I was about to ask, are you writing any of this down, dude?
I just had my mind blown. I had to give it a second to cool down.
Yeah.
So essentially, it was craving attention. Intention slash connection. Because people connect more when you're sick because they're coming from a different space. They care. Um,
Yeah.
so I think it's more craving connection, not even attention. Because I had attention. It was not like I was ignored or anything whatsoever. I was constantly engaged with. I had friends and stuff. But it was connection. Which is actually interesting because now that I think about that day at work, one of the thoughts that I actually had was I was really missing my girlfriend because, you know, I haven't been able to see her since past September. Our trip plans in March got derailed due to the
Slightly
whole
altered.
yeah, slightly altered. See, that's another program of mine. I
In the
over
short term.
exaggerate the intensity of things mentally, which that's it's not that it doesn't matter what I'm saying, but it's how I feel when I say that. So yeah, things got rearranged time wise, I guess you could say.
Ooh, I like that phrase. I like it. I'm going to steal it. They
Yeah,
got slightly rearranged.
yeah.
I made a
So
big ass investment and it didn't work out, so my success was slightly rescheduled. Ever so slightly rearranged.
yeah, for the indefinite future at some point. Anyways, so that emotion of craving connection triggered that old live mono thing. So I'm craving connection, and my body, back in the day, what it used to do to get connection, it was to get sick. Holy shit.
Whoa!
Sorry, guys. This is big here.
This is live in action right here. I'm like all excited because being his uncle, it's like now you get to see under the hood something Tony's never seen under the hood. Now he's seeing it under. He's opening the hood and getting to check it out. That's the joy of this process. Whew. And we still have a little under 20 minutes. 17 whole minutes. Hey. Can you hear the birds?
Yeah, they sound beautiful, man. I'm really enjoying it as I write this.
Yeah, at a certain time of day, they just get loud, and then, yeah, they just quiet down. This time of day, they get very loud. The sun is halfway up.
Yeah, so basically, the Lime Mono, at its core, the reason that I authored that event in my life at a young age was because I was craving connection. How that old Lime Mono feeling got triggered 2 days ago at work was I was missing my girlfriend, who I haven't been able to see for a while. So that emotion of craving connection, because missing somebody at the end of the day, the core essence of it, you're craving the connection with them. My brain is like, I feel something, I gotta deal with it, I gotta do something. So it goes into the archive of old programs, pulls up the line and mono program, we'll call it, which then activates the line of code, I don't want to do this. Because back when you were a kid, if you were at home in bed, your mom checked on you, you got the good food treatment. You know how it was, if you were lucky at least. Because there are kids probably who didn't grow up with that. So it's just like, and I think the reason I felt so powerful because I pushed through that day the day after was I won over that old program of like, curling up in bed, being sick, isn't going to get me the connection I crave.
It'll
And
get
even
you
then,
a
that's
connection.
but it's not what I actually want. That's an
Yep.
imitation. So it's
Yep.
like, now that you see that it's an imitation, and it's not even as good as your brain thought, because back in the day, as a kid, it was great. But like now, as a 23-year-old, it's not the same story. But I'm still running the same code from back when I was 11, 12. So that, ladies and gentlemen, was a live demonstration of what this process. And mind you, this is day 7 or 8.
Yes.
So
7.
7. By day 7 of us doing this, this is freaking huge. This realization. I mean, if you guys have known how many years I've been dealing with that, I don't want to do this thing, and how much it's interfered with my life and goals and dreams and gotten in the way of stuff, it's just like, so then it's like, now I know the solution. How do I get that connection? I know what I need to start looking for to find the solution. So it's like, obviously I can't be with my girl right now, but there's other ways, message her or whatever, or connect with people around here in the area, because at the end of the day, it's human-to-human connection is what we really crave a lot of times. But it's just like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up. That's one of the things I noticed through my life also been wanting and needing, and about maybe 4 or 5 months ago, when I realized that that's just like you said, any human needs connection. And so I'm like, okay, I don't want to just connect with any old person. I need to connect with people, and especially once COVID happened. So for me, so it's been 4 weeks in April. Today, they extended the stay-at-home order here in Hawaii until the end of the next month. So now I've been in this at home arrest, I guess you could call it. I don't know what the other word is.
Literal home arrest.
Yeah, that's That's a beautiful home arrest. But I realized I need
I
connection. I
got
need to
tea.
connect with people. So for me, I don't have that many people my age here, or so I found that ways I can connect. That's like you and I. We would talk on the phone, see how progress is going. That would be a bit of it. Then another friend from Albany, Demo. We connect every couple of weeks, get on a call, like one or sometimes it's 1 hour, sometimes a 2 hour conversation. And like I would call one of my friends from Portland, Oregon, and we would just because she has a business there, just talk with Liana. It's just update in life to say how's it going, how's progress happening, what are some of the challenges, what are some of the successes, kind of stuff. And I realized like super important for me, and that's where for me that specific thing I started gaining that
You know,
connection with people.
you just made me realize. You know how Gary V and what's that? Bradley, all of them have teams. Why do you have a team of
Mm,
people? It's so you have that connection. So you're all working towards a common goal, but you get that human to human interaction that you need. So it's like
this
I
right
think
here,
that's yeah, that's
this
what
right
I'm
here.
saying. This is a team forming in a sense because I was actually thinking about it. I'm thinking that maybe we should do this continuing on after the days are
Yeah,
over. Not necessarily on this topic, but every day do a 1 hour video of just sharing the stuff that we're working through. It can be the clarifiers things for a while or other stuff that pop up. I feel like it'd be great practice for me and you to learn how to convey information. It's something I look forward to now throughout the day, and I've noticed I've been feeling a little bit better by
yeah,
this day, like mood-wise, because it's like I know I have something to do.
yeah.
Which I've been having a hard time telling time with all this stuff going on. Like I don't know what freaking day it is most of the time. It's just like it's just kind of going by, and it's like, what day? Oh, is this day already, or is that day already? But ever since I started doing these videos every day at a certain time, be like, ooh, what time? So like it's kind of given a little bit of structure, so I don't feel like I'm drifting in space as much. So that's a key
Yeah,
pointer to anyone out there. Like routine is critical, and even in quarantine, we can do live videos where we're creating our own little routine, but also helping and sharing others who might benefit from this. Maybe not right
yeah.
now, but later on, because we'll be
Well,
saving everything.
there's already the world is being changed for two people already.
And that's all
There
that
it is.
matters.
That's yeah, progress. So yeah, it's interesting. So that when I brought up where I brought up the question, like you realized a couple days ago that the lime in mono was triggering your feeling a couple days ago, and then you go back further. If you, as the author, what have you been thinking? And so, and our thoughts are the creative force. Our thoughts are what create the energy we give off to people. Our thoughts create how healthy or sick we are. Um,
Which is
it's
why I
amazing. Like
understand like monks and people who meditate, that caste of people you could say who are very disciplined and make it a life thing. Of course, they can create wonderful, great things and do things that seem superhuman. They've just gotten very good control of their thoughts.
yes.
And
So
or not their thoughts, control of their mind in handling the thoughts. So it's like that I think is the end goal of clarifiers. And if you wanted to like give it a simple, um, definitive statement, we're helping you get control of your mind to gain the clarity needed to control your mind, so you are the commander of your thoughts, not the servant of them.
okay, yeah.
If that's how I basically see it. It's like, because that's how you have to look at it. It's the term commander servant seems kind of dry. That's really what it is. Of your emotions at the time and being is not a good thing, and but having those emotions, but then choosing how you react, it builds you as a person, and it makes the world a bit. Ooh, what's up with your audio? Hello? Your audio cut out completely. I can't hear you at all.